Hey friends, guess what? The Little Kids Big Hearts podcast now has a YouTube channel. Just search Little Kids Big Hearts and enjoy full episodes of the show. You'll also find fun music videos of the Big Heart songs you love. See you there.
Hi, this is Todd, and you're listening to the Little Kids Big Hearts podcast. This month, we're focused on helping, what it means to lend a hand, support others, and make a difference in big and small ways. I'm excited to talk to someone for whom helping is a part of his everyday job, New York City firefighter John Louthan. Firefighters do so much more than fight fires. They keep our community safe, help people in emergencies, and work together as a team. Today, we'll hear John's stories about being a firefighter, learn how he helps others, and get some great advice on how we can be helpers too. Today, we're talking to someone who's a real-life hero, someone who helps people every day and keeps people safe. Our guest today is firefighter from Engine 5 in New York City, and he's been doing this work for about 2 decades. Firefighters like John Louthan do so many incredible things, and they're always ready to jump into action when people need help. Today, we're going to learn all about what it's like to be a firefighter, how they help, and why they're such an important part of our communities. So let's get started. Hi, John. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and you just got off work, yeah?
I did.
So thank you.
Yes.
Long day, and here you are with us. I wanted to start off the bat by asking you, when you were a kid, did you want to become a firefighter? What inspired you?
Yes. As long as I can remember, I wanted to be one. I don't know what triggered it, but it could be from watching the TV show Emergency as a child. That's a guess. But as long as I can remember, I've always wanted to be a fireman.
What would you say is your favorite part about being a firefighter?
I enjoy helping people. It's very rewarding when you can help somebody. It's a very challenging job, but it's also very rewarding. Every day you go to work, it's different. You never know what kind of run you're going to go on, what you're going to see, what you're going to do,
right? In
what way you're going to help people. I love the guys that I work with. You spend a lot of times 24 hours with them in the firehouse, and we get along great. It's a lot of fun and very rewarding.
And you also mentioned challenging. I was going to ask, what is the most challenging part of your job?
Well, you have to be ready to go at a moment's notice. You can be sitting down, eating dinner. Next thing you know, a minute later, you're out the door going to a fire. You have to be able to change gears real quick, mentally and physically. Yeah, there's a lot going on. You just never know what you're going to go on.
Which is very different, I think, from a lot of people's jobs where you can kind of anticipate what your day is going to look like. And that's not something you really get to do, right?
Correct. Yeah. And not every fire is alike. You know, everybody that's the medical runs we go on, people have different illnesses and injuries. Yeah, you never know what you're going to get.
Well, I teach 3- and 4-year-olds, so very young children, and we often read children's books about firefighters sleeping and eating at the station before they're ready to go and fight fires. We have a fire station down the street from my school that we go and visit. I was wondering, is what we're reading in children's books, is that your experience as well? Are you sleeping and eating at the fire station together?
Yeah, it's a second home. A lot of times you're there for 24 hours. So you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Everything's done together. You're a team. It's a very team-oriented job. So everybody helps out and makes the meal.
Oh, wow.
We do have a bunk room with beds in it, but a lot of times we don't get a lot of sleep.
Yeah.
We get woken up a lot with these runs that we go on. And so you try and get some sleep when you can. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But that's the way it goes.
You know, one of the things when we read books about firefighters, my kids always love the Dalmatians that appear in the picture books. I'm wondering, does your company have a dog in real life?
No, we do not. It is a very popular breed. It goes back to the days when there were horses pulling the steamers, and they worked very well with the horses and would scare off other horses that were on the street, and they were kind of protective. And there are a couple firehouses in New York City that have them. Not too many, though.
Yeah, the fire station down the street from my school, their fire hydrant outside of the station is painted like a Dalmatian.
Oh, okay.
It's really cute.
Yep. That is.
We know that firefighters show up to help people when they're in trouble. And I was wondering if you could share a moment when you felt really proud to help someone in need.
It actually comes up quite a bit. We're interacting with the public very frequently, and people are very appreciative of what we do. We get thanked a lot, and it's a very rewarding job. So I feel appreciated all the time.
I have an uncle who was a firefighter. I also have an aunt who was a firefighter. And I remember as a kid seeing firefighters and thanking them on the street. And it was such an important part of my life growing up with my aunt, particularly, who was a firefighter and really teaching me a lot about her job. This month on our podcast, we met with 4 kids from Los Angeles who were affected by the fires they're experiencing in LA. Most of them were evacuated from their homes, and one lost her whole school building to the fire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. After something like this, people are often left with big feelings. How do you manage those feelings, and what advice would you give to kids who might be feeling scared or worried after experiencing a fire firsthand, or even just seeing the LA fires on the news?
Yeah, sure. What happened in LA was terrible.
Yeah.
As far as my personal experience being with a group of guys when something bad happens, we talk about it. If we need to, we'll sit around the table and talk about what happened. Talking helps get those feelings out, those emotions out, and helps the situation. It can make something terrible not so bad. It's still not a good situation, but talking about it has helped me. And I think that goes with kids too. The more they talk about it, because the kids don't understand a lot of things. And the more they talk about it, they're going to get answers, and their feelings their emotions can be helped by speaking to an adult or somebody that's aware of or knows about the situation.
Yeah, I really like that you said that. I mentioned how young my kids are, but kids are seeing what their grown-ups are seeing on television. And so the fires have come up in my classroom, and we had a child say, there are fires happening in LA. And so, it was an opportunity to sort of sit and talk about it. And for me to say, that to confirm that information and to ask what they know about it and then what they might want to know more about it. As we're talking about LA, there are thousands of firefighters from California and also from far away who work together to fight and help to contain the fires. Can you describe to our listeners why that is a very different task than fighting a fire like in one building in New York City? Or is it different? Is it similar?
It's very different. It's not something that I've had to deal with in New York City. We might get a brush fire of a couple acres. That's very rare over here. Usually one doesn't involve structures. Out in California, it's a lot more common, obviously, and it's happened in the past. They're kind of the leaders in interface firefighting, and you're mixing structures with wildland. It's very difficult, especially with the winds. Yeah. The winds change everything. That's what made this California fire blow up the way it did. It's extremely difficult. There's not a lot you can do, especially with the winds like they had. You can't fly helicopters or planes that are going to drop that water and fire retardant to help to slow down the spread of the fire.
Right.
It takes a lot of people to coordinate an effort to fight a fire like this. Whereas in New York City, you have plenty of very big fires, but a big fire would involve an apartment complex or something. Mm-hmm. It's very different fighting those type of fires.
Is there anything families can do to prepare for fires?
There is, sure. Especially in the house, you can set up an evacuation plan. Mm-hmm. You want 2 means of egress, meaning 2 ways to get out of, let's say, the house or the apartment. One of them might be a window. The other one is the obvious way out of, let's say, you're in a bedroom, out of the bedroom to the front door. But you want to have 2 ways to get out of every room. And you want to talk about that. If there is a fire in the kitchen, where do you go? Where are you? Make sure everybody gets out. You don't want to go back in. As hard as it is to leave a pet behind, unfortunately, a lot of people go back in for pets and don't make it out themselves. So you want to get everybody out, the human life first.
I've been seeing those fire blankets on television. Is that something that you would recommend? I have a fire extinguisher, and we did have like a grease fire one day in our oven, and it was very scary. And I used that. If I didn't have that, I don't know. We sort of panicked. And recently I've been seeing these ads for like this fire blanket that you could sort of throw over. Is that something?
Sure. Yeah, that would be perfect for a grease fire. There's also fire extinguishers that work very well, but it's going to make a huge mess.
It did.
The fire blankets are,
it did.
Yeah. A little cleaner. And,
yeah. And it was around the holidays. We were like, oh, okay, well, Merry Christmas. Is there anything you tell kids or others to do or not to do during a fire?
Well, the first thing, going back to planning before there is a fire, you want to make sure your smoke detectors work. They should be checked every 6 months. Batteries changed. There should be a working smoke detector on every floor, actually multiple on every floor outside of bedrooms, something that's going to wake you up if it happens during the night.
That's such a good reminder. I don't think I've checked that since I've moved into this new apartment. So I will be doing that after this call.
Yeah, a lot of people don't think about it. They say to check them during daylight savings time, kind of as a reminder.
Oh, that's a good pointer. Okay.
Also, another thing is to keep the doors closed when you sleep, because let's say there isn't a working smoke detector. You're not going to hear it. You're not necessarily going to wake up if you're in your bedroom. You're not going to wake up until the smoke gets pretty heavy in your room. If you have that door closed, you're going to prevent a lot of smoke from coming in, and also fire spread.
I do sleep with my door closed, but I did not know. I would not have thought about that. So that's a great piece of advice.
One more thing on that with the doors, especially people that live in apartment buildings. If you do have a fire in your apartment and everybody is out of that apartment, make sure you close the door as you leave. That's huge. There's been a lot of one apartment fires that have turned into whole buildings burning because somebody didn't close the door as they left the apartment.
Firefighters, we know, have to stay really strong and prepared. What do you do to keep your body and your mind ready for tough situations?
I try and eat fairly healthy. It's kind of hard sometimes in the firehouse because you have a lot of huge meals, and you need to, use the gym on a regular basis. Especially, I'm 50 years old now. I have to, I'm not as strong as I used to be. So
I'm almost there. I can relate. On our podcast, we talked about thanking helpers like nurses and firefighters who are helping others. Is there a moment when someone thanked you that you can remember?
Sure. We get thanked quite a bit. We're next to a couple schools, and we get cards, usually around September 11th. We'll get a bunch of cards from kids thanking us. We have classrooms of kids will come to the firehouse, and we'll show them the rig and talk about fire safety and let them climb on it. And they always thank us, and the teachers are very appreciative. The kids are very appreciative. So it's a very rewarding job in that way. We're getting a lot of praise and thanks, which is very nice.
Well, this is my last question, and I think it's one that a lot of our listeners would like to know. You've already given us a little bit of this, but do you have any advice for kids who might want to be a firefighter like you one day?
Well, first of all, I have to acknowledge that it is a fantastic job. I thank my stars every day that I have this job. I could retire today if I want. I don't want to. I want to keep going. I love it. It depends where you are in the country as far as how you get the job. New York City is civil service. You just need a few requirements. Other places in the country, they want you to be an emergency medical technician. Having a fire science degree helps. Volunteer experience helps. You almost have it in your blood. A lot of firefighters knew they wanted to be firefighters from an early age.
Mm-hmm. Do you have people in your family that were firefighters before you, or are you the first?
No, I'm the first. So my 11-year-old wants to be one.
Yeah, I was going to ask it. Yeah.
Yeah. He comes to the firehouse, and he loves it. It's just a wonderful job. And, you get to a certain age, you can apply for different departments, and you have to take a written test and a physical test and have interviews. And New York City hires 700-800 firefighters a year. Whereas,
oh, wow.
We're the biggest fire department in the country, second in the world. Other departments only hire a couple a year. Mm-hmm. So they're going to be more competitive with what they require. It's a very rewarding job. It's a lot of fun. You work with great people. Like I said, you get a lot of praise. It's just a wonderful job, a wonderful career. It's a wonderful way to earn a living.
Yeah. And you're saying second home, so like second family, I would imagine.
Yeah. Sure. Some of my best friends I work with, I'm friends with their families, and I know their kids. And
Well, thank you for what you do, John. Thank you for sharing all of your stories and advice with us today. We can all learn from the work you do. And to our listeners out there, remember, firefighters like John, they are here to help when we need them. And we can also be heroes in our own way by helping others and staying safe. Thanks for tuning in to Little Kids, Big Hearts. We'll be back with more next week. Until then, keep being brave and kind. Thanks for listening.